Hello, community. How are you today? Today we have Shannon Barnett, who's going to speak into the topic of just bringing it all up. I want to be exact here. So, right voice for you. And she's a transition, well-being, and leadership coach. She will be giving us some insight today through her experience, and then we'll take on the questions to ask her that the community has sent us. Okay, here we go. Shannon, all yours.
All right, thank you for that brief introduction. And as always, it is such an honor and a pleasure to be with you. So I guess a little bit about myself and how I come to this community. And I think that each and every one of us has something to learn from each other, regardless of our skill sets, our professions, our backgrounds. And so wherever you may be in your life, regardless of what you've been trained to think or skilled to do, we all come with something inside of us. But my background mainly is in the government sector with 22 years active Army and the U.S. Army, in which I specialized in logistics. And I tell you what, it helped me to understand a lot of things about myself, serving in multinational countries in Asia and also in combat situations. And then afterwards, when I retired from the military, I continued to serve at the capacity of working alongside the soldiers and pretty much doing what I did while I was in, except I shifted my focus more into contract and management of personnel and a lot of human resources. And then after that, about 26 years, I developed my coaching business, in which, it's like when you really want to be in service to others, and you always will find a need. And so I am a leadership, well-being, and transition coach. And, we're all in a transition and moving. You think things get easier. And so when you and I were having this discussion on what topic, and when that you are moving and you're in a transition and you are the leader of your life, and your well-being is really at stake with the relationship you build with you find that you're going to have a different voice for each different situation. And as they say, the different ages and stages, your voice is going to change. And mine changed numerously throughout my life, being a single parent, living in South Korea now with my son, and being a woman who served in silence most of my time in the military, where the military didn't rescind their don't ask, don't tell for being openly gay, LGBT, trans community. And so many voices in a language that I'm in a country where the language is not my predominantly language. So anyhow, hopefully that can give the viewers and listeners a little bit of interest on who I am, and to go further with this discussion.
Sounds amazing. Yes, I mean, with everything that you just said, it resonates with the community, because there's a lot of people who moved overseas and are thinking of going overseas. It gives them an idea, roughly, what life is. And also from the questions that you will receive, I think that your answers will really help them from the experiences that you've had from the Army and living in different countries, and how you've pushed yourself up, being a single parent as well.
Yes.
So yes,
that was a mouthful.
It was.
Yeah.
So with regards to military life, and then transitioning over to the life of being a single parent and mom, how did you play the roles? because military life, I guess, is, you know, it's a different identity. Would you say it's a different identity?
Oh, most definitely, and it is. And the identity, it's a culture, it's a lifestyle, and it's not just a job, it's not just a profession. And you know, your primary mission is in service to your country. And so in order to be able to be in a relationship or have a child, and whether you're dual military, if you're a single parent, the first and foremost thing is to having a family care plan. And a family care plan is where you have powers of attorneys that if you get orders for an assignment, then someone else can take custody of your child, in which very shortly after giving birth, I found myself 8 months after giving birth on an assignment to Iraq. And so the parenting and single life is, you don't choose one or the other, but you learn how they both can basically, your priorities is basically your mission. And yet you try to find that place where you can still do your mission, but you don't feel the guilt, the shame, this gnawing feeling inside of you that you're not taking care of your responsibilities, because too much of the training comes in where you really know your priorities. And it's not that you're being neglectful of your child, but you have that emotional intelligence and that emotional resiliency where you know where your priorities lie.
Amazing. You know, you said something initially when we met. I hope I can disclose this on this.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know, on this community interview that I'm having with you, because it's to basically, maybe someone would get some idea if they're going through this. I don't know in what way it could resonate, but I remember you telling me that you got on to a helicopter with your team and you were going on a mission to, I'm guessing it was Iraq. And you just had a baby boy, and you are there sitting, and I know what happened after. You told me, you know, about the team and how you survived. You know, the signing of the power of attorney, this communication that you have to have with your husband. It's about, you know, whether you're going to be alive or not after this mission. I'm guessing is a hard communication that every family has to have in another context. Doesn't have to be going to war. You know, you're going to have to discuss your will when you're going to die. You're going to have to discuss your funeral. All of these are conversations that have to take place. And what is your perspective on these communication conversations that have to take place? They're not easy. It obviously is based on trust, number one. But what did you feel when you were going through that conversation about the power of attorney, your life and your son?
Well, I mean, and that's a very good question, because, you know, beyond the power of attorney, there's wills that's put in place, and yet there's human emotions. I went to Iraq and I'm carrying a weapon, and I've got this body armor on, and yet my body hormonally is it's still like my you know, my breast is still lactating. Hormonally, I'm still not right. They have extended, and I had to take a physical fitness exam, and which was push-ups and sit-ups and running within 6 months after giving birth. And the military now, they have really changed and allowed a year for a woman's body to get back into physical and the well-being, because it's really difficult. Anyone that's gone through childbirth, to get your body back into running at a distance and doing sit-ups and push-ups at the physical demand. And then the emotional demand, it was really rough. My son's father and I we had ended our relationship, but we were back together. He was in South Korea. My assignment manager sent me to America. I had no family around me. And so it was like, well, let's try to reunite this relationship. And he come from South Korea, but here my son was an American citizen. He wasn't a Korean citizen. And my son's father was just like, let's hurry up and get a marriage, and so he can take our son to South Korea. But the trust had already been broken between us. And so my mom and I decided for my mom to keep my son. And that was a hard decision to make, because on a multitude of levels, when communication and trust, and there was no support, emotional support for me, I went through the pregnancy without him. And so we reunited right before I went on the deployment. And I just said, if you keep with your son while I'm deployed, we'll look at marriage. I didn't want to just get into a marriage, which, you know, there's other benefits that could have come along with that, but there was a lot of complexities as well. And going into my mission, the first 3 to 4 months, it was rough. I didn't see my mission. I wasn't there to be emotionally in a war zone, and it affected my performance. It really affected my performance from the beginning. I turned things around, but I felt like everybody was in competition with me. There wasn't unity. I felt like it was a very toxic situation, and yet it was me, because I had my hormones was just out of whack, and it was too much of an extreme of going from a nurturing to a killing environment, and where, you know, it was active bombs and the helicopters. We went up, and the day that I went up, it was just like all the emotions was like, oh my goodness, I could, you know, today could be the day that I die. And I just give birth, and I'll never know my son. And then, you know, the father's not with him, and he has no rights to his child. And I just said, you know what? I didn't come here to die. I come here to live and to really keep peace. And we were drawing down and get focused on my mission. And that really changed things. But it did take about 4 months for me to really get things together. So anybody that's going through anything, these things are rough, and I would ask you to check into your emotions and to be honest about what you're feeling, and don't try to repress it. Don't try to hide it, but just feel it and try to label what is it that you're going through, and then reach out for support would be, because I had to really take a lot of stuff in, and I couldn't really talk about it because I was supposed to have been physically fit, military, and ready to do my mission. And I needed every bit of it was a multinational, very high level mission in which we worked with United Nations, Department of States. I was at an executive level position. So I was held to an extremely high level of physical and emotional demands. We worked 17 hours a day for 365 days, and it's very demanding. Emotionally, I would look for my son in my sleep. But anybody that's going through, that's getting triggered for any of these, reach out for support, and don't be afraid to talk about what's really going on with you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. There's so much to learn there. 17 hours a day. Wow. I mean, you know what, when you just said that whole explanation, what came up is 4 months to finally get the mindset to change something. So to the community who is looking at us, or someone that is going faster or looking more successful than yourself, what would you say to the pace of like you've just said, it's taken you 4 months to get the mindset. What can you tell them with regards to mindset? Because there's a lot of people who think that success needs to be instant. They need to just act now, act now, act now, act now, but it not necessarily is the right action.
Yeah, and I mean, and unfortunately, life's demands, and I can't really know the environment that a lot of people are in, and they may be in a very high stress, high
Shannon, you there?
stressful, and they can't really express or communicate in a way that
Shannon,
they would like to speak what's going on.
Sorry to cut you off there. We lost you there for just a minute. So if you could repeat.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. What I would like to say is those that may not be in a position to slow things down, they may be in an extremely demanding environment, whether it is a lot of stress, a lot of tension, or they cannot, they feel like their needs are not being met. They feel that they're being invalidated. They feel that they're not being recognized for their voice, or their abilities is being overlooked and underutilized. That it's really important to have someone else to talk to, because I did have a battle buddy with me, and we kept it very simple. This is some indicators. And so that way, when you can label it, you're not internalizing it and like really allowing it to build additional stress, additional tension. So if you're in a place that it's more demanding, it's like your cup is already full, right? And you can't pour any more in that cup, but it's like you need to be able to put more in, receive more from others, but you're at a place where you're just either at burnout, you're exhaustion, but the demands are still there. I would highly recommend having an outlet for someone else you can talk to, or just taking 10 minutes for yourself to really just check in and label what you're feeling. Is this anger? Is this sadness? Is this shame? Is this guilt? Am I being invalidated? Am I being underutilized? Am I being taken advantage of? Am I feeling anger? Am I feeling like I'm just rationalizing my situation? You cannot believe how much that can help you, and being able to do that help me to change things around, because then you get back into taking control, having that self-awareness and that choice to say, wait a minute, I'm not my situation. I'm the situation with me, that I can change things. So you go from being powerless in your thoughts to being in control and being able to shift how you feel about your environment.
Amazing. Thank you so much for answering that. I just have so many questions from me, but I'm not going to ask those questions because the community has sent us a few questions here. Let me go back to that. Let's start addressing the questions. All right. Question number 1. I'm a single parent. I would like to have insight from yourself on what that felt like the minute you found yourself in this reality. How did you find the strength to carry on?
And that's a great question. And it's a question that I will tell you that you're going to continuously ask yourself again and again and again, because you and your child are both growing. And your child's growth is really going to depend upon your growth. And the more aware that you are of how you're feeling about this situation, if you're angry, if you're sad, if you're just feeling humiliated, embarrassed, and you feeling so insecure, like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this alone? And you may be so resistant that you just don't want to do this, and you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe that you have the capabilities or capacities to do this. then what really helped me is I was really fed up with how that my relationship was. And I said, I have a choice. Either I can stay fed up, I can stay upset, I can stay angry, which I think I can see that this is affecting my child, or I can make up my mind and believe in myself and make sure that I have the support group around me that can support me. And because I can't do this alone as a single parent, and I have to make this decision. And when I made that decision, my son was 3 years old. I felt so free. I really did. And basically, I have my son, and my son's father and I never married. I was in a relationship with a woman as well. We didn't marry, and I have been a single parent as an expat, been deployed, and I'm still living in South Korea as an expat, doing it on my own. It's not easy, but you're going to have to ask yourself this question again and again and again and again. But the more that you can, routine and boundaries for you and your child, routine and boundaries is going to be the key for your sanity, and have a good friendship and a network.
Thank you for answering that. I mean, I just got so much of questions after that. Okay. Second question. I'm going to hold myself from asking the questions. I'll ask you another day. Okay. What benefits have you picked up from living the life you have lived in the United States to living in South Korea? Are there any Eastern and Western comparisons, learnings that have helped you achieve so much in your life?
Yes, and I will simplify this from being, I've lived in Korea now 18 years, 10 years straight, in the uniform, out of the uniform. And I was a young lady, 21 years old. So I've known mainly, predominantly institution life, in a lot of disciplines. But I will tell you, the blend of both that really helped refine is listening and communication. And because you're not always going to be in your same culture, and beliefs are going to be different. Your assumptions, your interpretations about how life is, and about how people think, and about customs. So the two would definitely be communication and listening. Really listen and not be in the reacting, but when you listen and you can communicate, it helps you to be able to receive and to reciprocate what somebody is saying. That's probably the two, Tulsi, that's helped me the most.
Thank you. I'm just going to move on fast. We've got quite a lot of questions here. Okay. I find it hard to be my authentic self in a community that knows my history. Therefore, it's hard for me to transition into who I truly know I am in my heart, but that which others do not know about me. I guess I'm afraid of judgment. Any help there?
You're always going to be judged, and you're going to be your biggest judge. This is number one. And you're going to be your worst critic. That's number two. And number three, the more self-aware that you can become, and when you feel comfortable with yourself and your own skin and your own thoughts, and I heard this saying that the mind is a skillful painter. The mind can paint a lot of pictures for you that I can never leave this job. I can never leave this relationship. I can never leave this city. I can never leave this country. I love my comfort. I don't want to be uncomfortable. People are going to look at me like I am crazy. And you're right. They are going to look at you like you're crazy, because you're challenging their sense of security, their sense of safety, their sense of identity, their sense of knowing. And for me, being able to leave a small town, and I join the military, follow my sexual orientation. I left an executive position that was really going to escalate my career into numerous things. And I walked away to start my own profession. And it's just, you are you change that. Making that choice and decision is you start to change your environment by that self-awareness and deepening your own faith in who that you really are, because it's about a human revolution and changing your own destiny. That's how I would answer that one.
Thank you.
And it's going to change.
Thank you so much for that answer. Next question. Community member has, okay, how would you approach shame, especially when there's so much to still achieve in this life?
Great question. Shame is, you really look at shame as a lot of times shame keeps us within a cultural dynamic, and it keeps us hid, it keeps us humiliated, it keeps us from being true. I'm an incest survivor, and there isn't anything that's more shameful than really trying to find love and acceptance from yourself of going through incest, having numerous family members commit suicide. My son's father did commit suicide. And feeling shameful about your sexual orientation. I'm Buddhist, and my family members are, their religion is from the old regular Baptist, and there's a lot of shame that a lot of people try to cast upon you if you don't fit into their lifestyle, their beliefs, their culture. And if you are comparing yourself against theirs, then you will have that shame in your heart. And if you're trying to live a life that is separate, I lived a compartmentalized life, and it kept me feeling very shameful for a big portion of my life. But shame is an emotion that's part of all the emotions and feelings, and you can't have the happiness and the joy without knowing the shame. So welcome it into your life, make it a friend, and love yourself for everything that you've been through, because that's what makes you so beautiful and special and unique to be you. And there will always be either shame in your heart, and every day gives you an opportunity to get to know yourself better and to say, I can make a friend with the shameful things that I've been through, and to talk about this to other people and to help them as well.
Thank you.
That's what I would say about that.
Thank you for that answer. I mean, a lot of people just want to cast it away instead of exploring where this is coming from, and get to know yourself from why you're feeling that and how you could heal it, you know. So that is a very good answer. I mean, I definitely learned something from there. Question number 5, is alcohol bad, or is it that some mastery within the self is what should be questioned? Is being too free that is bad, or is the answer in how you manage life that needs to be worked on? Again, mastery in the self. What is your perspective on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I went to Alcoholic Anonymous, Sexaholic Anonymous, and alcohol, and I had a son. Being a single parent and wanting to drink, I felt all of the judgments from him. I felt judgments from other people. And this is a very great question, especially in a day and age of where it's so accessible and so easy to have alcohol. And what I would ask you is, what is your reasons for wanting to drink? What are your feelings for drinking? Because I don't think alcohol is bad, but if alcohol is used irresponsibly, and if alcohol is used to cover up the shame, if it's used to keep yourself hid, if it's used to keep your voice silenced, if alcohol is used for you to try to disappear, I've done them all. So I'm a good friend with all of these, thinking that you can drown away all of your hurts and sorrows. And if you're not comfortable being alone, and this is a hard one for me, I was so uncomfortable being alone for so many years and being in relationships because I didn't want to be alone. that I would drink when I could. Again, I had a lifestyle career, so a lot of my drinking was more of like a binge drinking because I went on long deployments. I couldn't drink. I had training exercises. I couldn't drink. I was in a career that was mentally and physically demanding. So throughout my career, I could only like do binge drinking, but when I did, it was to disappear. It wasn't to just for fun and to have conversations. But when I learned that I could drink and I got clean, and that I said, you know what, it's for a festive event, I can raise my glass and say cheers and enjoy this, and I'm not going to kick myself up one side and down the other for all of my judgments of me, but I'm going to enjoy it, then it's not a place of where you feel like you've got to continuously working on yourself. But you do need to work on the inner voice and what is propelling you to want to drink. Is it for fun or is it to forget?
That is so amazing because, you know, throughout my life, I was born as Hindu, and that I was born like in a caste where you don't eat meat. And at the time, it was a lot of judgment that, you know, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't eat meat, etc. And after I traveled, you know, even my traveling experience was a bit, I went very young. So it was also very judgment, a lot of judgment because I wanted to live life. What I could answer to whoever's question that was is, I learned that every saint has once been a sinner. For us,
most definitely, yeah.
To be where we are and to give advice, to be a writer, to guide others, you would have had to go through some part of that and master it. So when I look at that question, I say that actually the universe tests you to see if you can master what it's giving you. It is about a journey that it's up to you to say no and know your limits. Just like a gun isn't bad, but it's the person how they use the gun would be classified as either evil or in good, whatever it is, you know, for protection. But it's how you see it and how you can master yourself to that demon, as you call it. It might not even be a demon, you make it a demon, you know. So
yeah.
and
you do, yeah. And it's, you know, advertisement and food, and, you know, it's like there's a lot that takes us away from the good intentions, and it's where really trusting your own voice, your own judgments, and really, you know, really checking in with yourself. Am I doing this due to peer pressure, or it's supposed to make me feel this way? And it's really getting to know yourself. But you're right. I mean, you know, unless you've been truly in the gutter in a lot of different areas, and it's hard to really talk about. And, you know, you can do research, but until you've had your feeling like you're just throwing up and just feel so shameful and guilty from the inside, and just wanting to not do it, and all you're thinking about is doing it, and it's, you just get caught in that loop. I would just say there's a lot of support groups, and there's a lot of people that you can talk to about the well-being and the many reasons why you don't really need it to feel something inside of you that is there, but you may need some help for seeing what it is that you really have to offer everybody else in this world.
Thank you. Now we're off to the last question. Thanks for that. Really, really powerful questions here.
Yeah, you got an amazing group.
Thank you. How can a person start looking at building a business such as yours, being dependent on their full-time income, but want to pursue something they really want of their own, from their abilities, natural talents, or field that is of interest to them? How can they take on this leadership in their lives?
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing question. And I think that's about 5 questions all in one. And that's definitely stacking those questions up.
Making the best, wherever you are, you're making
the best out of it. And I would just say that if it's something that if it's coaching, then, you know, ask what it is that you're trying to be a coach for and in service to other people. And is it giving you a career to continuously partner with people, to continuously develop, to continuously grow, to look at mindsets, to look at behavior, to help people achieve goals, help hold people accountable. And what skill sets are you already good at, and where is it? Because it's really mastery is knowing that it is continuously in the moment, performing again and again and again, and knowing that you never quite arrive, but it is about continuous learning. It's not having that fixed mindset. So are you better being in a profession where it's more fixed? Are you more in a the profession that the business that you want to do? Is it more in the growth mindset business? Shadow work with someone, along with someone. Ask, hey, you know what, Shannon, can I, do some work with you? What is coaching? How did you get the skills, the certifications? Your network, start asking how it is that they're able to set up systems within their profession to monetize the systems, what routine, what lifestyle is required, because you may have that desire, but are you looking at it from just, what area are you looking at it for? Is it just the monetary, or are you looking to help people in their lives? Or is it that you need most of the help? And a lot of times it's like really getting clear on what is your intentions of what it is that you really want to do, not trying to figure out your big life plan, but what is your biggest goal or intention to create the business? Because there's legalities, there's expectations, there's disciplines, routines, and it's a lot of things that really you don't like to do. It's like a lot of the things, everybody wants to look good, have a beautiful body, but pushing back from that glass of alcohol, or just turning it down, or turning down that the volume in your head that tells you you can't do it, you're not going to ever get out of where you're at, this relationship, this career, this profession, and aligning yourself with people who can say, hey, you know what, if you want it, you can do it. And then let's make these small changes daily to keep you on track, would be my best recommendation to try to answer that question.
Thank you so much. And that's the end of all the questions. If anyone does have any questions, just drop a comment below, and we will then pass it over to Shannon. She will answer it for you. So it's time to wrap up because time is running out. I'll let you wrap up, Shannon, and then I'll end it up. How's that?
Sure. I would say that just anything that you got out of this call between me and Tulsi today is it's something that you can gift yourself and to gift others, and to really find that self-acceptance of where you are right now is perfectly 100% okay. And you're beautiful. And I just want to say I believe in you, and wherever you're at, whatever you're trying to do and accomplish, thank you for being you and being this gift to the world and trying to make the changes that you do.
Thank you so much for being here with us today, Shannon. It was such a pleasure. I mean, you have so much to offer, from everything that I've learned from you. And thank you, community, for helping each other and for bringing out your questions for those who are shy to ask the questions, so that we can address it and help you as well. I hope you enjoyed today's session, and more will be on the way. So take care. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.